continue now with our Great American Panel. All right, so we spent a lot of time off air.
Yeah.
You have very strong opinions about the Professor Gates. First of all, they're going to have a beer at the White House. You know, Barack Obama just couldn't issue an apology saying it was wrong to say they acted stupidly. But you feel that...
I feel that what's gotten lost in all of this, and I know I'm going to get lots of hate mail from this audience.
Probably from me.
And from you. I think any of us would have reacted the same way as Professor Gates if a police officer, if we've shown him that we live in this house.
He didn't show him. If you
he showed him his driver's license to show that he lived in this house, and then kind of brought him out and arrested him.
Brought him out. He walked out on his own.
Walked out to the porch and arrested him.
And started screaming he's a racist and attacked him and was disturbing the peace.
Look, everybody overreacted in this situation, but I do think that in a case that wasn't so racially charged, a lot of people would have reacted that way. A police officer arresting you in your own home.
Wait a minute. This police officer risked his life to go to this man's house after being called there. Immediately is being called, you know, all these racial epithets are being
protect the neighborhood, trying to protect the neighborhood, answering a call from concerned citizens. So to make sure that that community is safe, he goes and inquires. He's absolutely doing everything he's supposed to do, and he didn't pull the man out of his own home.
He's uncooperative. He's belligerent. He's attacking the officer. He's calling him racist.
I think it's unheard of. What Mark said is true. These officers show up to protect our lives on a daily basis. They don't know what situation they're going into. He responded to a call. This individual, all he had to do was say, "Listen, officer, thanks for coming out. Sorry for the trouble. Here's my ID." Right. That's all it had to be.
Right? And this would have all been over if he cooperated and
I think it's also the police officer's job to lower the temperature in the situation.
He tried. You can hear it on the tape. He tried.
But you can also hear on the tape that Gates isn't exactly. You don't hear him screaming or over the top.
Let me ask you this.
But shame on the professor. What kind of lesson is he teaching there in terms of being belligerent?
None of this is rational and thought out. I'm just saying a normal human reaction when a police officer is arresting you in your own home. It's just not. It's not surprising.
But a normal reaction, that is, if a police officer comes, we have a report of a break-in, sir. Do you start calling the officer a racist? Get out of my home. I'm not going to show you my ID.
Let's talk about reactions for a minute. The reaction, though, the knee-jerk reaction, both on Professor Gates as well as President Obama, to turn everything into a racial issue. That's a knee-jerk reflex reaction that was not warranted.
A radical on a college campus is not a surprise to me. We got, you know, Ward Churchill. We've got Bill Ayers as a professor. Guy, unrepentant terrorist as a professor. But when you hear this tape on C-SPAN of Gates saying Malcolm X was talking about how the white man is the devil and telling them off, it was great, laughing.
Yeah, I mean, this is sad.
So who's racially profiled?
Well, and why then did the president do this? I think it was a serious misstep. He turned on the officer, suggesting that the officer
and he wouldn't apologize. So this is a teachable moment, though, Kimberly.
How can it be a teachable moment? What's the lesson to be learned in this particular situation? The officer did his job. He was basically called a bad name by the President of the United States. A beer isn't going to solve the problem.
Whoever acted stupidly here is the president admitting he doesn't have the facts. He condemns the police officers, and then he tries to lecture everybody else about lowering the volume and teachable moments. It's insulting.
The teachable moment here should have been for President Obama. He should have learned from this lesson to not jump into local matters, to be able to take the upper hand and say that as a President of the United States, that's something that the officials in Boston should be able to take care of. We'll let the evidence play out.
Yes,
but he did.
Yeah, I can see.
In this case, President Obama did pretty much admit that he overstepped his boundaries. He's stepping back. The beer thing, maybe a teachable moment sounds a little bit, pedantic, but it is. I think there's nothing wrong.
And it's sort of
there's nothing wrong with the president reversing course on
Not really, because he still stands by the idea that the police officer was wrong. And he still doesn't have the facts in this case. Every officer that was there on the scene corroborated the arresting officer's point of view, and they all said that he did the right thing because he was disturbing the peace.
And he has an exemplary record. This wasn't some officer who has a history of problems of engaging in racial behavior or doing things inappropriate like that. This is somebody who was commended and helps lead the department in this area. So I'm sorry.
I agree.
It's a bad call by the president.
Just like Gates should have said, listen, sorry, officer, for the trouble. Thanks for coming out. Obama should have said, sorry for making the inappropriate comment. Thanks for doing your job as a police officer.
Nina?
I'm waiting for that beer.
Well, by the way, he did invite me to have a beer. I know.
I was worried about that.
I offered to pay for it in in the spirit of spreading the wealth.
You should join these guys.
Yeah, but why don't they invite me?
They should invite you. I think that would be
Barack Obama has called me out by name all these times, and President Obama, I'll bring the beer. Your choice.
It's safer that way.
Is that right? All right, guys. Thank you all for